So I have several friends that do MMA, mixed martial arts. And one I spend more time with than the others. And the friend that I'm talking about, for a while, it was his job. It was his job as an athlete to get into a ring and to fight another person for money. And it was never emotional, he said. In fact, he said, if you get emotional about it, you'll lose. He said, it's like an art. You've got to be focused. That's why they call it mixed martial arts. And he has the best temperament anyways. But underneath that temperament is power. And so when I'm traveling with him, when we would do trips, or if we would go to even a coffee shop or a restaurant or a dangerous part of where we live, I always knew I was safe. I always knew I was taken care of. I knew that my buddy also really cared for me. We were and we are good friends. And that also changes the dynamic. And the thing about it is that as comfortable as I felt with him, when you know that the Lord is with you, that's a whole nother level. It's a whole nother level of confidence and trust. Jesus has these I am messages, which define who he is. And they're very helpful for us because we misunderstand who God is a lot of times. Recently, I was thinking about something and I thought, did I do something wrong? Is that why I'm experiencing this? And I thought, I know that's not true. I know that's not how God operates, but yet I've been told that and taught that and marinated in that view for so many years. Not that people always talked about God, but the understanding, the basic understanding was do good things or God's going to punish you. And that's not God. So God defines himself with these I am messages. Last week, we looked at the statement he said when he said, I am the resurrection and the life. And this week, we're going to look at Jesus saying, I am the good shepherd. And when we look at that, we're also going to look at Psalm 23 because David was a shepherd, but he has this relationship with the Lord. And this relationship that he has with the Lord, he knows he's the good shepherd. And in fact, David, before Jesus says it, centuries before, David said, the Lord is my shepherd. And then he goes on to define what that looks like, not only because he knows God, but because he knows what it is to be a shepherd. And it was the best way he could think of to explain, to pray, it's in Psalm 23. And one of the things that he starts off with that gives us an understanding of what Jesus is saying when he says, I am the good shepherd, is that he guides us. In fact, David starts right off the bat, and he says, the Lord is my shepherd. He leads me beside still waters. The Lord has to lead David to quench that thirst because David can't do it on his own. How many times have we tried to figure out a way to be happy, to even have the basic necessities like water? But we don't know where to go. We don't know how to do it. We keep messing up. I always give the example of finding a wife. I had dated enough prior to meeting my current wife, my only wife, that I don't know what I'm doing. I need him to lead me. And that's what the good shepherd does. That's what shepherds do. They guide. They also provide. I don't know how sheep have made it as far as they have, because it doesn't seem like they would be alive without people stepping in. But They need provision. So in Psalm 23, David says, he prepares a table before me in the presence of my enemies. And there's a couple other examples he gives of this providing. But when he says prepare a table, he means he takes me to where the food is. A mesa, a table, place where the grass grows. And he takes them to the right grass because there's other stuff that is poisonous. That's what shepherds do. That's what Jesus said he does. He corrects. Now, this may seem unenjoyable, and at times it is. To be corrected, no one wants to be told they're wrong. No one wants to be led in a different direction, especially if it's painful. But sometimes God has to do it in a painful manner to redirect us. And so when David says, his rod, the shepherds, his rod and his staff, they comfort me. Oh, I love that. I love that because the more I study the relationship with shepherds and the sheep that they care for, I'd always see them with the staff, the rounded staff. But they also have this rod, and it's a weapon. It's used to keep enemies away. But it's also to protect us from us. To know that Jesus is looking out for me. And as I fall under his guidance, he will protect me from me. That is a comfort. His teachings should be a comfort because they correct us. The other thing he does is he protects. As I mentioned, he does it with the rod. But the famous passage from Psalm 23, even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil because he is with me. The valley of the shadow of death, any valley, especially when it's pulled up close enough that the sun has a hard time getting into the valley, that's a dangerous place to be because predators come from above. And we've been in those situations in life where we know we're in a dangerous place and we're afraid. But if you know that he's your shepherd and you know that he's with you, you will fear no evil because you don't need to, because you're all good. The last thing that I'll share, it's so encouraging to me, is that I thought that the crook, the staff, the curved staff, was also a weapon. I thought it was like to nudge and to pull the sheep out of bushes, which it is. But there's another element to it, which is beautiful, is that the shepherd has a relationship with his sheep, just like some people do with their pets. But the relationship with God is beyond that. It's more like a father to their child. It's this relationship where they just want to be near. I tried this experiment recently where my kids are pretty much grown up to a large degree. And to hug them and not let go and see how they'll respond. And so when you draw them near and you hug them, you'd be surprised. They don't pull away as quickly as you would think. They may have that natural, like, okay, we've reached the normal window in this relationship where we usually separate. But once that awkwardness passes, if it's your child and you have that kind of relationship, they just want to be held. Now, some people, they abhor physical touch for many reasons, some for very unfortunate reasons, and some just because that's how they're wired. But in general, we all want to be pulled close. And that is the purpose, the primary purpose of the staff. It's to reach around the sheep and to bring them close just to be near them. And so when we think of Jesus' statement, I am the good shepherd, he doesn't say, I am your shepherd. He doesn't assume that. He doesn't place that on us because it needs to be our decision. He says, I am the good shepherd. We all need to reach that point, sometimes more than once, where we proclaim, we decide, and we live with the Lord as our shepherd. As David said, the Lord is my shepherd. Where are you at now with a shepherd? Take the next 60 seconds in silence and just ask that question. Lord, are you my shepherd? Or you may need to decide, hey, do I need to come back home with him as my shepherd? Or maybe this is the first time you've considered it, which means it'll probably take a little longer than 60 seconds. But I hope for your sake that you can say, the Lord is my shepherd. God bless.